Hey y'all, what is today? Happy Thursday. So glad to be on. I'm so excited about today. Happy Thursday. Um, there are so many things to celebrate. I'll talk about 2541 in a bit, but as far as life, waking up another day, um, being here, um, my dog Bailey learned a new trick. So excited about things like that. Y'all, I'm so excited to connect with you today to talk about the Build a 12-month campaign coming up on April 6th. We're excited about it. And we have a few folks that signed up already, and I want you to make sure you sign up too. But before I get into all of that, y'all, your girl received an award a couple of days ago from Color of Change. And I'm so grateful, and the National Educators Association. And that wouldn't have been possible without Jaleesa Evans, the founding CEO, founding director of the Black Educator Action Network. And hopefully, a few of you all saw the post, but I also want to tell a story. So, Jaleesa was a part of when I was an early organizer and I was doing work in Atlanta, exploring work in Newark. Jaleesa was a part of that core group that was doing work here in Charlotte, and it's so cool to see like the progression of her work, the progression of where she is. Like, yo, she's running a national network for Black educators, and it's so cool to see the growth. And one of the reasons I wanted to pop on today is like it didn't start with a national network. I didn't start with a $132.2 million win. You can take a step today, no matter where you are in this work. So I just wanted to give some love to Jaleesa and also come to talk about a few things. So a question that I get a lot that I wanted to do a little teaching around today is okay, why is empowerment not the same as organizing? Why is direct service not the same as organizing? Why is advocacy not the same as community organizing? And I'm going to talk about that today. So I actually made some little cards that I'm excited about. So y'all get into it. Get into it. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is this word called brokering, which a lot of us think, a lot of us do. So brokering is this space where you're doing some mediation work, where there's someone going in between, speaking on behalf, negotiating on behalf. This is not community organizing. It's not one person serving as a mediator between two or more groups. That's not community organizing. The next one that I want to lift is this advocacy word. This one also gets confused with community organizing. Advocacy is one speaking on behalf. Um, it is not this because speaking on behalf often assumes that the one you're speaking on behalf of doesn't have a voice. There's something that we say in community organizing is that you can't you that do that you shouldn't do for others what they can and should do for themselves or should can do for themselves. Organizing is not advocacy. It's not speaking on behalf. All right. The next one on the list is mobilizing. So a lot of folks like this mobilizing one. The reason they like it, it's like a bunch of folks getting into a space. It also makes the assumption that if I get X number of people into a room, then the thing will change. I'm not saying that it's bad. I am saying, however, that community organizing isn't mobilizing. It's more than just getting people into a room. It's more than just getting people out for a march. It's more than just getting people out to a school board meeting. And we're going to talk about how in a little bit. The next one, what community organizing isn't, it isn't direct service. So, what this often looks like is food banks, especially, or ways where you're legit offering a service for a need. And it's not that. It's not, community organizing goes further upstream to create a policy, so you need less of this. All right. Or just use it in a different way. We're going to talk about that. The next one I want to lift is this piece around activism. So, where there's a lot of activity, a lot of movement, a lot of posting, a lot of blogs, a lot of, hey, sign this letter, and you just received the letter like 2 seconds ago, you have no idea what it's about. Or it can be more intentional, but activism is activity. All right. So you're probably like, Charlene, with all these things, what is organizing? We got one more before we get there. The next thing I want to name is like organizing is not empowerment. um, Organizing is not empowerment because empowerment assumes that there is someone that is the holder of power and they're gifting that to someone. That someone is the holder of all things, all resources, all knowledge, and they're giving it to you because you didn't have any, or that you have less. That's not the case. Instead, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into community organizing because when I think about community organizing is actually a culmination of all those different things, but with an attached intentional strategy, with an attached intentionality around building the capacity of leaders, with an attached intentionality of a clear North Star. You also have something we call organized money and organized people. So, what does that even mean? So, organized money, membership, and likely dues. So, it's not necessarily you becoming institutionalized, but it's you institutionalizing so that whenever you go into this work, you have structure, you have infrastructure, you know why and how you're coming together. Another way I like to teach this is traditionally there's a strong public sector and private sector. Imagine, well, what organizing does is creates an equally strong civic sector to keep democracy in check. All right? So, regardless of your positions around them, some examples here are like the teachers union or even the National Rifles Association, also known as the NRA. There are a few great examples of this on how it has both organized money and organized people. Now, let me keep it 100. When I often talk about these things, people get a little frustrated because they think they're building power when they actually aren't. They're just moving a lot, doing a lot of activities, getting people into the room. And let me name this. I'm not saying that all those other things are bad. I'm not saying direct service is bad. I'm not saying empowerment is bad. I'm not saying advocacy, activism, or all these things are bad. I am saying that they are not the same as community organizing, right? They are not the same as community organizing. Power building is around an intentional North Star and identifying with collective action, with a collective group of people, where you're going to go, how you're going to get there together, and identifying a key decision maker who can make a decision to advance your efforts to get you a desired reaction. What's an example? One example that comes to mind is when we were doing some work around restorative justice. And we met with quite a few people. We met with juvenile court judges. We met with the International Institute for Restorative Practices in California. And what the large, broad problem was racism in Charlotte's schools at the time. And what we were able to sit down and do when we met with teachers, when we met with students, when we met with juvenile court judges, when we met with officers, etc., is that there were some discriminatory numbers that surrounded Black and brown boys being suspended from schools. So much so the juvenile court judges was like, hey, we don't need kids in front of us because of walking off campus and coming back onto school grounds. Kids were literally getting arrested for that. And at the time, North Carolina was one of the few states that charged minorities as adults. And so that went on their permanent record. So, what we were able to do in and with those closest to the work was identify a restorative justice pilot within a specific school pattern to advance and reduce those efforts. Now, there were a lot of things I learned from that first victory that can be improved, that weren't strong but were also strong. But that's an example of community organizing. It's not just about getting out numbers. It's not about speaking on behalf. The reason I like to lift that is like, how often do we see people speaking for us without even actually talking to us? And we want to build in community organizing folks' political civic muscles. The best way to do that is jumping in. The best way to do that is doing the work yourself. The best way to do that is learning to sit down with that superintendent. The best way to do that is learning to sit down with those county managers. And what a good organizer does isn't just send a parent, isn't just send a community leader to that meeting. You have pre-meetings before that. You have trainings before that. You have evaluations after it. And then the next time, hopefully you're leading it and you've brought on a new leader so that you can build their capacity as well. All right. So I want to name that we have advocacy, we have activism, we have mobilizing, we have direct service, we have all of these things. They are not the same as community organizing. Now, a good community organizer utilizes those things and creates a culmination with intentional strategy to advance those efforts to reach a North Star. However, note that they can be brought in under a common umbrella, but they are not the same as community organizing. All right, y'all, this is just a tiny snippet, but guess what? We have more coming. Yep. So if you want to go deeper, and if you're like, hey, I want to take this first step of launching something new, or I want to take this first step of furthering our campaign, we want you to join us on April 6th. All right. On April 6th for 4 hours, we're coming together for a Build Your 12-month campaign. So what that's, no matter whether you're at the beginning or if you have a specific problem area identified, we got you. We got you. Just join. Take the first step. Don't be scared. All right. So if you're at the beginning, we can work with you to build an individual meeting campaign, a house meeting campaign. If you're further along, we can also assist you with building a campaign to go from a broad problem to a more specific issue. If you're doing work around the presidential campaign this year, we're going to assist you with doing the GOTV work. The thing is, the skeleton for a campaign is all the same, no matter where you are in this work. All right. So I know people get mad at me when I say advocacy isn't the same as organizing. I know people get mad at me when they say, hey, I don't use the word empowerment because I'm not a Santa Claus of power. I'm not the power is not zero sum and you do not have all of it. I have power. All I need to do is activate it inside of me. All right. People get mad at me when I say that power building isn't direct service. Power building is power building. And it's important for us to get clear because when we get clear, we won't be out strategized. When we get clear, we'll build up the capacity of other leaders beyond ourselves. When we get clear, we work with folks to leverage their own voices versus assuming that we can speak for them. When we get clear, we can win. When we get clear, we can win. Now, what I'm going to put in the chat is the link to register. We hope to see you all there. It's going to be a good time. We have a couple of folks that registered already, and we're so excited. All right. So you all super grateful for this time. Also, just a major shout out to Jaleesa Evans and the nomination for the Color of Change Award. 2541 is incredibly grateful. And I also want to give a quick shout out to the amazing team that I have working behind the scenes to do all the things. And not just behind the scenes, because, baby, they're going to be teaching soon. Maybe even next week. We're going to talk about it. All right. So, super grateful for every single one of you. And remember, activism, advocacy, mobilizing, direct service, brokering. Those are not the same things as community organizing. Community organizing is intentional strategy to reach your desired reaction in collective action while building the capacity of your organization through organized money and organized people, period. All right, y'all have a great rest of the day. We're going to follow this up with a link. We're going to follow this up with more information, so be on the lookout, and we're super excited to have you. See you on April 6th. Take care.